Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
If you are in the front row, you, as the person in charge, should go over to that row and get prayer books for everybody in the front row because they're in the pew rack in front of seats, and there are no pew racks in front of you. So if you haven't prayed with us recently, we use the Mishkan Tefillah prayer book. It's a blue prayer book. It opens from right to left. And almost all of you have the thin version of it, although some of you may have a thicker version. We're going to start with a love song to God. And the love song is called Yedid Nefesh. It is on page 10, going from right to left. And it's only 4 lines. It's part of a much longer poem. But everything we do leading up to Baruch Hu is really an attempt to evoke a relationship of loving connection, whether we conceive of God as a lover, a bride, or even in the form of angels. It goes like this, and by the way, if you sway in your seats, it's okay, because it's a waltz. Yedi nefesh av harachaman, Yedi nefesh av harachaman, Meshochav decha, El ritzonecha, Meshochav decha, Ya la 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 la, El ritzonecha. Third line. Yarutz avdecha kemo haya yishtachavei elaya yalalalai emuladar. The last 2 lines again. Yarutz avdecha kemo haya yishtachavei elaya. From the beginning. Yedid nefesh am harachaman, Yedid nefesh am harachaman, Meshoch avdecha, El ritzonecha, Meshoch avdecha, Yalalalai, El ritzonecha. Third line. Yarutz avdecha kemo haya yishtachavei elaya yalalalai emuladar. The last 2 lines again. Yarutz avdecha kemo haya yishtachavei elaya yalalalai. We're going to continue with the lighting of candles and the Kiddush, the sanctification of wine for Shabbat. Ben, will you please bring your parents up to the pulpit to lead us in those prayers? It's customary, as you are able to please rise. We are on page 2 of our prayer book, going from right to left.
These Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Next page, please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho be'ahava yiratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh b'reishit ki hu yom tehila lemikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim.
Louder.
Kivanu v'harta Tanu kidashta mikol hamim Shabbat kadshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. All right.
Please be seated, everyone. If you'll turn in your books to page 6, in the middle of the page, there's a responsive reading that identifies the values by which we hope to be a sacred congregation. We're in the middle of the page. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
All who cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut up pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
On page 9 at the top, we continue responsively. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain.
On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share.
There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
And there are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
Together, so we embrace Shabbat.
Day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace.
So we're going to continue with a song for Shabbat called Shiru, Shir Chadash. And Shir Chadash, I had the page and I lost it. It's in the back of the book, and I'll get it for you in just a petito moment.
I think it's 364, but I could be totally wrong.
No, it's 344.
Okay.
344.
I got 2 out of the 3 numbers right.
Yes, you did. And for me, who's not exactly good at math, that's good. So there's Hebrew and English. This reflects the theme of these psalms that we do as part of introducing Shabbat, welcoming Shabbat with joy. It goes like this. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash. Again. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Adonai Shir. Here's the English part. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shir Adonai. Shir Adonai. Kol Haaretz. Shir Adonai. Shir. The English again. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Now you sing without guitars. Here we go. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Adonai Shir. Last time. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash. way to the front of your book again, going from right to left, and you'll find page 20, which is 138. 138 in the parentheses, and we're way up here because it gets awfully low. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. So the refrain, Lecha Dodi, is about the bride coming into our presence, right? Right now, Sanjay is out there looking for the bride. The bride may come into the parking lot. We don't know. Maybe the bride, maybe Carol will tell us when the bride is going to come as well. So we do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and the chorus goes like this. Try that again.
Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Yishmi'anu Elam HaMiyuchad Adonai echad Shemo echad Shemo Tiferet v'Hitila Laila laila echad Dodi Laila laila likrat kala Laila laila b'nei Shabbat B'nei Shabbat nekavela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki mekor ha'beracha Me'rosh mikedem me'sucha Sof ma'aseh v'machshavat chilcha Laila laila lecha dodi Laila laila likrat kala Laila laila b'nei Shabbat B'nei Shabbat
Verse 5.
Everybody please rise and face the rear so you can find the bride.
Please rise and face the rear if you are able.
Verse 9. Bohi v'shalom ateret balagam b'simcha u'b'tzola tochem u'nei.
We bow to the left. Bend to the right. Bohi chalan. Please sit down.
Laila laila chadodi Laila laila likrat kala Laila laila b'nei Shabbat B'nei Shabbat nekavela
Just yell aloud.
Laila 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 laila
Please turn the page. And there you'll find Psalm 92, the Psalm for the Sabbath day. It's our tradition to read the first part in English all the way up to the indent. And then you go up to the Hebrew indent, where we find the beautiful word, Sadiq Katamar Yifrach, righteous bloom like a date palm. But we read the English together above that. A psalm,
A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. With a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together, you have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai. How very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know. A fool cannot understand this.
So Tzadi Katamar, excuse me a second, I lost my mic there. So. Sadiq Katamar.
Sadiq Katamar Hivra Keres Balvanon Yizke Sadiq Katamar
צדיק אתה מר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה יזכה. צדיק אתה מר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה יזכה. עוד ינובון וזבה, דשנים ורעמים יהיו, להנהיג ישר כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולה תבוא. Back to צדיק. צדיק אתה מר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה יזכה. צדיק אתה מר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה יזכה.
And this section of our prayers, introducing Shabbat, ends with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 26. As you are able, if you are able, please rise for the Chatzi Kaddish before the Baruch Hu.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ילמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובמכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולם יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה. בריחו לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יאי ראי ראי Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed.
Page 30 or 148, we join together in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv v'aravim, b'chokhmah potech she'arim, u'v'tevunah mishanei itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'mesader et kochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirsono. Ore yom v'layla, kolel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'mabdil ben yom u'ben layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 32.
This is a love song, that God loves us enough to give us Torah and a connection and a relationship, not only with God, but with each other. This beautiful tune was written by our friend and our inspiration, Debbie Friedman, so many years ago, but it so touches our hearts. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Ukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Eloheinu b'shofbenu, u'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, u'vahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla, v'avatcha, ve'avatcha tasir, mimenu le'olamim, baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. And we are on page 36 or 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We join together in Ve'ahavta in English on the same page. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Page 39 or 157. We join together at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, and there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We sing a song of hope and of freedom, page 40 or 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, תורה תהילה לא ספלת, תורה תהילה לא ספלת. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, תורה תהילה לא ספלת, תורה תהילה לא ספלת. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע יום לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, אנו
our timbrels, follow Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women dance and dance the whole night long.
ונאמר כי פד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Page 42 or 160.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Spread the shelter of your wings over us. Guide us with wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Elohim l'shalom, v'hamidenu shorenu b'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Elohim l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We continue with Vishamru, a passage about observing and celebrating Shabbat, led by Ben Beal. Ready?
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoradam eridolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoradam eridolam.
Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoradam eridolam.
Ki sheshet yamim hasa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoradam eridolam.
Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoradam eridolam.
Stay right here.
Hi, Ben. So, Party wants you to have this t-shirt. Do you know what Party is? It's the youth group here at Temple Sinai, Pittsburgh Area Reformed Temple Youth. So they do really cool events. I remember when I was your age going to DC and New York, and then as you grow up, you can be on party board, which I was in high school, and it was a really good experience, and I still have great friends from doing it. So this is for you, and I hope you remember to try to get involved.
Let's see how it looks.
Turn around.
Awesome.
Turn around and see. Oh, perfect. A perfect fit.
And Ben, don't forget your Siddur. We turn now to the Amidah, to the central prayer of our service, which can be found on page 46 or 164. Please rise as you are able.
Please turn the page.
Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה החיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. בי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Page 55. Disturb us, Adonai. Ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of the living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
The top of page 57, we join together. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. We offer a prayer of thanks on page 59. We join together. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot. And we pray for peace, page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom.
Shalom
Rav Yisrael Amcha Tazim Leolam.
Shalom
Rav Yisrael Amcha Tazim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך.
Shalom
Rav Yisrael Amcha Tazim Leolam.
Shalom
Rav Yisrael Amcha Tazim Leolam. Tazim Leolam. Tazim Leolam.
Baruch
Atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, Shalom. There's so much going on in our world right now. So many things that we have to pray for, so many things that our prayer book couldn't even begin to imagine that we might have in our hearts, that we might need to offer as prayers to God. So we take a moment now to offer the prayers of our hearts, the prayers of our souls in silence.
May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. 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 Descend on us, and the world will descend on us, and the world will say Amen. Oseh shalom b'bramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Amen, amen, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, oseh shalom b'bramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Amen, amen, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen.
We always offer a mishaberach of healing. A lot of time people bring pain into this room. It's a room of soft cushions and hopefully some softness in how we connect and care for each other. Right now, there are so many that are aching, not just from loss, to say Kaddish, but worry for those who are not well. And so I'm going to ask as we go around the room, if there's somebody for whom you wish healing, that you might choose to say the name out loud. And if you don't say the name out loud, you might just sing Amen at the end of each verse. The song is on page 253. And if neither of those works for you, just let the words wash over you. Maybe you're the one in need of healing tonight. As I look at your part of the congregation, I'd like you to be open and free to saying the name of somebody for whom you wish healing of body, mind, or spirit. Chaim ben Stella, Leah bat Anita,
Joe Jarmel, Lee Fega, Chava Batili.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say bless those in need.
I was 5, my classmates and I were playing in the schoolyard as part of the after-school program. We were running around, and the boys decided that it would be fun to chase the girls around and kiss them. One boy started chasing me, and although it's very possible that I was also giggling out of nervousness or an excess of energy, I was pretty clear that I did not want him to kiss me. Finally, he managed to grab my hand and kiss the back of it. I promptly burst into tears and ran and told the teacher. She took a couple moments to placate me, telling me I wasn't really hurt and that it just meant that he liked me. Then she went to the boy, yelled at him, and put him in timeout. The typical response to this story is to laugh at what little boys think is fun and to tease me for overreacting to an innocent kiss. Clearly, I was at an age when girls think that boys are gross and vice versa. Sometimes people feel bad for the boy who got in trouble because I was upset by something so minor. I often imagine the teacher struggling to hold in her laughter at the ridiculousness of the situation and thinking to herself that it wouldn't be too long before I'd react very differently. But this was also the first time that I remember being kissed against my will. At 5 years old, someone else decided that my body was for his use. I can already hear the defense claiming that he didn't know what he was doing, that I shouldn't have giggled and run away, that clearly he liked me and was just trying to show it, that a kiss on the hand isn't really a big deal, etc. And to some extent, that's true. After all, 5-year-olds are notoriously bad at keeping their hands to themselves and recognizing that not everyone feels the way that they do. But it's the messages that we heard then and thereafter in response to that and similar incidents that let us know what is and isn't appropriate behavior. Think for a moment about the toddler who trips and falls and then looks to the nearest adult to see how to react. If a trusted adult laughs gently and says, "Whoops," the child is more likely to get up and go on. As this response is reinforced, the child learns that falling isn't such a big deal and that you brush yourself off and move on. On the other hand, if an adult rushes over and makes a big deal about whether or not the child is okay and oh my goodness, the child is more likely to start crying. And this response, as this response is reinforced, the child starts to have difficulty rebounding after a fall and may even be inconsolable for a few minutes before being able to continue. Children take cues from the adults around them about how to respond to situations. So when my teacher told me that I wasn't really hurt by the boy who kissed me, I was taught that boys might grab and kiss you to show that they like you, and that being touched against your will is not a big deal as long as it doesn't cause pain. That message, of course, was then confounded by the fact that she punished the boy. So were his actions okay, as she said, or were they actually problematic? Thus began my entry into the wonderful world of mixed messages, microaggressions, and difficult to define sexual harassment. #MeToo. I was 5. Fast forward about 6 or 7 years, I'm in middle school and girls are starting to wear bras as they head toward puberty. And as boys pass us in the hallways, they grab through the back of girls' shirts and attempt to snap their bras. Sometimes they're disappointed to find out that a girl isn't wearing one, and they're excited when they manage to snap one. They're even more excited when they manage to snap the bra hard enough that it unhooks, sending the girl rushing into the bathroom to fix it. I can't imagine that this behavior was sanctioned by the school. And I don't know what happened when boys were caught, but it certainly was prevalent throughout my middle school years. I saw it happening, and I heard about it many times. At best, it was painful and annoying, but it was also a mark of attractiveness and maturity. If a girl got her bra snapped, it meant that a boy liked her. There were numerous conversations among girls trying to figure out who had snapped their bras and if the boy who had snapped it had a crush on her, and if he was doing it for someone else, and who would that have been? There were discussions about which bras hurt less when snapped and which ones were less likely to unhook when snapped. And then there were the laments of girls whose bras didn't get snapped. They were upset that no one liked them. Can we pause for a moment and notice how messed up this is? Girls were being harassed daily, but we treated it as a sign of interest and affection. This sort of twisted thinking is the natural outgrowth of being told that the boy pulling your hair or pushing you or kissing your hand liked you, but just didn't know how to say it. By seeing how the adults around us responded to these incidents, boys learned that minor acts of violence towards girls were normal and indicated attraction. And girls learned to welcome harassment and that it was better to be hurt by a boy than ignored. As adults, this gets even more complicated. We're able to see future consequences of today's actions. We're sensitive to the reactions of the people around us and how our response to situations impacts others' perceptions of us. Sometimes we choose not to speak out against inappropriate, immoral, or illegal behaviors so that we can avoid being labeled troublemakers. I personally have suffered the consequences of speaking out against someone else's well-known sexual harassment, and I, at times, have chosen to protect my job or future career by not complaining about it. Because speaking out against bad behavior causes trouble, not the people who behave badly. I wish I could find support in our sacred texts for speaking out against sexual harassment, sexual assault, or other gender-based violence. Unfortunately, they don't really help. If anything, women in the Torah are subservient to men, treated like property, and often lack agency. Rarely are women in the Torah actors. Rather, they are acted upon. As enlightened as the Torah might have been for its time, and I do truly believe that our ancestors instituted a number of radical protections for women, given their historical context, but as enlightened as it might have been, women's silence in the Torah is deafening, and women typically act for the benefit of the men around them. Take our parsha, for instance. In Lech Lecha, Sarah, or Sarai as she's known at this point, is taken by her husband Avram on a journey away from their homeland. She doesn't get a say. She's just packed up along with Avram's other belongings and taken out. Literally, the Torah says, Vayikach Avram et Sarai ishto. Avram took Sarai, his wife. Anyway, they journey to the land of Canaan, start to get settled, and then a famine forces them to go down to Egypt. Avram is terribly concerned that Sarai's beauty will affect his well-being, that the Pharaoh will kill him in order to take her for a wife. So he asks Sarai to pretend to be his sister. The Torah doesn't record her response, but the next thing we know, they're in Egypt, and Pharaoh's courtiers see how beautiful Sarai is, and they take her into Pharaoh's palace. Who knows what Sarai experiences in the Pharaoh's palace? If she's just being prepared to be a concubine, or if Pharaoh has made some moves on her that she's managed to avoid. The Torah doesn't say anything about it. Instead, what's important is that Avram acquires a lot of wealth because of Sarai. And because we would never forgive Avram if his deception led to Sarai's rape or worse, consensual adultery, God intervenes and sends plagues to keep Sarai out of Pharaoh's bed. The deception is uncovered, and Pharaoh kicks Avram and Sarai out of Egypt. Not once in this whole episode do we hear Sarai's voice. Not once do we hear what happens to her as a person herself. She is transferred from one man's domain into another and back again as it suits their interests, not hers. She is a pawn, a tool to further Avram's story rather than a character of her own. The great and righteous Avram uses her, violates her trust, and risks her well-being for his. This is our sacred text. A text that teaches us that women should subsume their interests for the benefit of their men, and that even the most righteous of men put women in terrible positions in order to get what they want. After all, God will protect the wives of righteous men. #Sarai too. She was in her 80s. Truth be told, it's not just men or boys who support or engage in this appalling behavior. It's not just our patriarchal, paternalistic sacred texts in history that I love so dearly. All of us, every single one of us, is complicit in upholding a culture in which women and our bodies are objectified and sexualized without our consent. All of us brush aside, blatantly reject, or turn blind eyes to instances and reports of sexual harassment, even when we're victims of it. All of us excuse inappropriate behavior with platitudes of, he didn't mean it, or he just likes you, or you're overreacting. All of us have allowed things to get to the point where we're shocked and surprised and saddened that so many people have said, me too. All of us. Me too. But all of us can have a role in changing that status quo. We are the ones who can call out inappropriate behavior, who can reject even the tiniest of offenses. We are the ones who can challenge rules and laws that unfairly sexualize and objectify girls. We are the ones who teach the people around us what they can get away with and what crosses the line. It is up to each and every one of us to wake up, to put our feet down and refuse to excuse the words and behaviors that have caused the situations we're in. It is up to us to change the status quo so that future generations will never hear stories of harassment, assault, and violation, and that future generations will never have cause to say, me too. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Just a few notes before we go on to the end of our service and prepare to be together at our Oneg Shabbat. Just a few things that are going on tomorrow. There's Torah study at 8:30 in the morning upstairs in the Lockhart Lounge, and the informal minyan is at 9:15. And Ben will be back here at 10:30, right? And you're going to help lead most of the service there with Rabbi Gorban and Cantor Berman. I'll come down and help with the Torah service as well. We're so excited that your family is in from all over the place. Who's traveled the farthest to be here? Atlanta? Michigan? Denver? Denver? Yes. Anyway, anybody travel further to be here today? Some of you crossed a river. Anybody? Oh, yeah. So we're delighted that you're here, and we're delighted to celebrate your bar mitzvah tomorrow. Okay, Ben? Get a decent night's sleep. You'll need it, okay? On Sunday, is a very exciting day at Temple Sinai. We have instituted a new curriculum called Next Door. Next Door means next generation. And it really is the next opening door to Jewish education and experiential learning. Rabbi Gorban has devised a marvelous curriculum of 6-week units where kids work on a project toward a conclusion and a goal, not just learning a general set of ideas or facts. And so on Sunday, I will have my Hartman seminar in the morning. Cantor Berman will have a Bereshit seminar, but right in the middle, we're going to celebrate our kids with a parents, adults, and kid Asefa, gathering, kihila, community, where we pray together and sing together, and afterwards the kids will display the marvelous work they've done. Just to mention one, Harry Levine's work on sacred space. What is the architecture of the soul is fantastic. I can't wait to see that on Sunday. Well, my 30th year is progressing here, and we're starting to celebrate next week. Next week, Cantor Benji Schiller, our most popular guest, is returning for her 4th visit, and she's going to be helping on Friday night to lead the services with our intergenerational choir and our band. And Saturday morning, she'll help with our minyan with some of her tunes, not just the ones we usually do. And Saturday night, we're going to have an amazing time together because we're going to have a concert called Jamie and Friends. Everything from jazz musicians to Broadway songs to the Baptist Temple Choir Church of Homewood, or Church Choir of Homewood, are going to be singing with our choir. And Benji's going to be there with all of it. And we're so excited. It's a free concert. Come and celebrate. There will be an oneg afterwards. That's at 7:30 next Saturday night. And if you want to come next week for Shabbat services, there's a dinner afterwards. Please register by Monday so we know who's coming and we cook the right food for you. Register and pay online by credit card or call Temple Sinai to make your reservations and charge your account, just so you know. On Monday, November 13th, coming up, there's a Watts cooking class featuring Chanita Kosofsky, who is anxious to make her delicious challah. For $10, that's the cost of the materials can be paid at the door, and you can reserve by emailing Carolyn Schwartz.
What time is that service?
What's that service? Which service? Oh my gosh, it's different from the service time we usually have. So instead of 7 o'clock, which is our permanent service time, we're meeting at 6:30 tomorrow, next week, so that we can have plenty of time. Cantor Benji Schiller just asked me just today, in the middle part when she gives her remarks and her music, could she sing a second song? And I said, but of course. We want her to be able to give her full gifts, and she is so excited to come and be with us again. 6:30 next week. Please come into that service. Please come to the concert the next night as well. In the celebration of the reorganizing of our Falk Library, we're going to have a commemoration on Friday, November 17th, following services. The Library Committee will host a special oneg in the Lockhart Lounge for the congregation. For 3 years, our congregation has been updating and automating our library collection so it'll be more accessible both physically as well as online. And so we have a chance to talk about all these upcoming events at the Oneg Shabbat afterwards. We hope that you will join us for that and have a cookie. Even if you're eating dinner afterwards, you'll have a forspice of dessert, just a little foretaste of dessert before you go on to your dinner. So we're looking forward to seeing you at the Oneg. We're going to invite both Rabbi Gorbin and Cantor Berman. I'm going to ask Rabbi Gorbin right now to make sure that the text of her sermon is available online next week through our website. We'll send it out through highlights as well so that people can see the link, although people can also see the sermon given in our live stream archive of the services that we do here in our Libov Sanctuary. So if you turn in your book to page 282, in the middle of the page, you'll find the section of prayers called Aleinu, for which we rise as you are able.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol,
לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום
Please be seated.
ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
On page 291, it's 595 in the brackets at the top of the page. It is hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives most fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended, brought us closer to the source of life. In his unity, no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. It's our custom as we read the names of those whose yahrzeits are being observed this Shabbat. If you are here to say Kaddish for that person, we'll ask you to rise so we can recognize you as a mourner. Those names will be followed by those who died more recently, and if you are mourning, please rise as a mourner so we can recognize you. At the end of all the names, we'll rise as a community so no mourner will ever have to stand alone. This week, we especially remember the names of Joan M. Berger and Max Berger, Edgar M. Baru and Joseph Baru, Rosaline Birnbaum and Sam Bordoff, Dalaton Boswell and Celia Bregman, Leo Broida, Paul Chernow and Catherine Sewelli, Harry Davis and Louis Davis and Ida Ebenstein, Irving Epstein, Faye Fellman and Doris L. Friedman, James Gallagher, Jesse Goldbaum and Dora Goldstein, and Julia Goldstein, S. Morton Granovitz and Louis Greenberg, Stephen Gross and John M. Gruskin, Maurice Hamburg and Harry Joseph Kalmanson, Florence Karp, Jack Katz and Dorothy S. Keene, Ben Covell, Isidore Krause and Norman Levine, Harvey S. Lutens, Pauline Margaretten, Robert Ira Mendelson, Marvin Matosky and Benjamin Miller, Meyer Oringer and Joyce Pearl, Helen Price, Muriel Ritblatt and Maida R. Rubenstein, Reverend David Barrow-Ryev and Sam Sambol, Saul Shillett, Neil Siegel and Anthony Skarzicki, Rose Smoke, Jacob Spyrer, Estelle Dubin-Steiger, William Stutz, Francis Trachtenberg and Bertha Weiss. And now we remember those whose recent deaths we still mourn: Jerry Roth, Ellen Solomon, Grace Moritz, and Morris Bangle. We honor all of them with our presence and our Kaddish. We turn to page 294, which is 598 in the parentheses. As you are able, please rise to accompany our mourners as they say Kaddish. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
Biolma Divrach Irute V'yamlich Malchute, B'chayechon U'v'yomechon U'v'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala U'v'zman Kariv V'yamru.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabba Mavarach Le'olam Olamei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kudsha
Brichu.
le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'oma v'yimru. Amen. Yehi shlom araba min shemaya v'chayim aleina ve'el kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav huya aseh shalom Aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace in the high heavens cause peace to descend on all of us, all Israel, upon a world desperately broken and in need of healing, upon all of us here tonight who mourn our beloved dead, as together we say.
Amen.
Please remain standing and turning your books to 321. This is a version of Adon Olam we particularly like because it made it to number 5 on the pop radio charts in Israel more than 30 years ago. Only in Israel do liturgical songs make it on the radio. It goes like this. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Le'et Nasa, B'chefsa Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei. Acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hovem v'hu yeh v'tivara. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'chefsa Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei kichlot hakol Levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hovem v'hu yeh v'tivara. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'chefsa Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei kichlot hakol Levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hovem v'tivara v'hu haya v'hu hovem v'tivara. May you, all of you, be blessed every place you come into God's world. May you be blessed every place you go from this place out into God's world, where your heart and your spirit, your love and your peace are so desperately needed. May that be a blessing today, tomorrow, and each day, as together we say.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei mizonot. Praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of all, who makes animal crackers. As together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.